Hey guys, it's Christine and Adrian here, and today we are talking
Hello.
about self-care and when you don't practice it, why it is like, well, what happens when you don't practice it? So, if you're new here and you don't know who I am, I'm Christine. I'm owner and content creator of bloomingbrilliant.net, where I share educational resources, parenting advice, and of course, information about homeschooling. I'm a homeschool mom of two. I homeschool my 9-year-old daughter and my 5-year-old son right here in Brooklyn, New York. And I like to share our journey with you guys and make it relatable and easy for you guys to navigate this whole world. So, today we're talking about self-care because, well, this was planned for May and we focused really hard for May for self-care. But self-care has to happen throughout the months. It can't just be for the month of May or for one day. You have to continuously practice it. So that's why we are having this conversation because it's so important. So here is Adrian from adrianbolton.com.
Hi,
And if you'd
everybody.
like to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adrian. AdrianBolton.com is my website. I have been blogging for, I don't know, 10 years now, probably. I like to share on the internet, overshare, I should say. And I've got two kids. I'm on the other end of the journey from Christine. My kids are older. I've got one now who is in college and another one who's going into high school. Each year is a reevaluation of what our plan is. And to be honest with you, we're still evaluating our plan that we are going to be looking at for fall. Every year is different for our family. But we're going into, I believe this will be like our 12th year homeschooling. I've lost track at this
Oh.
point. My kids are getting pretty up there. So I've made lots of mistakes when it comes to not taking care of myself. I don't think it's necessarily a homeschooling only topic. I mean,
Yeah.
certainly don't need to be a homeschooling parent to be taking care of yourself. So that's kind of just the things that Christine and I have in common. But you got to be taking care of yourself no matter what. And I'm not a pro. I'm more a poster child for, how to do it wrong. And I get a lot of messages on the post that Christine had shared with her audience about how to be a miserable homeschool mom, kind of just a list of some mistakes that I've made along the way. And that led to her, inviting some people to talk. And so here I am.
I shared the post actually in the comments. So if you're looking for the post, it's right there. You could get it. Yeah, it's definitely not isolated to homeschool moms, like the need for self-care. I feel like all women struggle with saying, you know what? No. First of all, I'm not going to do all the things that, you throw at me. And, like we feel like the need to put everybody else ahead of us for some
Yes.
reason. I
Yes.
just feel like as homeschool moms, we have like an added pressure or added
Yes.
responsibilities that make it even more important to talk about.
For sure. And we
So,
have that added, we're with our kids all the time. We don't
mm-hmm.
ever get a break when we're not with our kids. And then we have the guilt over, well, I don't want to complain about being with my kids all the time. I
Oh
signed up
yeah.
for this job. I don't want people to
Mm-hmm.
think that I, don't like what I'm doing and I don't absolutely love all the rainbows and sprinkles that are, flying around the dining room table while we're doing math. It never looked like that for us ever. We've
Huh.
had really tough days, we've had really great days. Um, but there's times when I've wanted to throw my kids on the next, school bus that
School
rides
bus,
by the
yes.
neighborhood and, take myself to a yoga class and run away. So it's been hard to find, I hate the word balance, but it's been hard. It's been hard to find those snippets of time throughout the years, and it's been hard to recognize them for myself. At times, it's taking me to really put myself first enough to go to therapy and speak with someone about how I'm feeling. And, I've dealt with anxiety and depression throughout my whole life.
Yeah.
So I've had seasons where, it's taken me to sit down with a therapist for the other neutral
Yeah.
person to be like, hey, I think you really could use like a couple hours to yourself. That sounds crazy that you're not even getting one moment, alone. And it takes like maybe an outsider sometimes to be like, yeah, something's, way off balance here. And
Yeah, definitely.
I've had to really work at it at times. And then there's been times where it's come easy and times where I forget about it. Um, And I was thinking, as I was getting ready to talk to Christine, I was thinking about, you know, we're always, self care, that term. I don't know. Are we overusing it? I feel like we should just be taking care of ourselves. It should just be the norm to take care of ourselves. And
Yeah.
sometimes we get in this like, darn it, we get in this like rebellious, I'm just going to take care of myself today. And I'm going to go out and get that, I don't know, stereotypical mani and pedier or
Yeah.
whatever. And whatever it is for you, a coffee or a run. I don't know what.
No, but I feel like that's what it is. Like people hear the word self-care and you
Yeah.
think, oh, that's like that girls' weekend that like,
Yeah, that's
you
not really what I'm
know,
talking about.
and
Yeah.
the spa day,
It's
like where you could just sit and
yeah.
relax. It's such a luxury. It must be great for them to do that self-care. But
And I
really it's meeting your basic necessities, your needs, and
yes,
making yourself like, hello, you matter.
on a regular day, not
Every day.
not a special with my girlfriends or a treat myself
Mhm.
day. On a regular day, how are you taking care of yourself?
Yeah.
And something that I was thinking about this morning when I was getting ready to, just thinking about talking with you was there's all the basics that, everyone always hates to hear about: diet, exercise, drinking plenty of water, making sure we're, taking a vitamin if we need vitamins, if we need them, just doing the things that are really simple and easy. Drinking water and taking a vitamin has helped me.
Yeah.
Those simple things has helped me.
Yes.
Doing those simple things have helped me. And then harder things like exercising, I've had seasons where I haven't done that at all. And then I've had seasons where I've been really disciplined and I feel great when I'm,
Yeah.
taking care of myself in that way. And then there's the aspect of staying on top of our health care, like
Oh,
getting
yes.
our mammograms, going to our annual exams, because I am a procrastinator. I put those things off,
Yeah.
but they stay on my mind. And I believe they cause me a little bit of stress. Oh, I really need to do that. The things that I'm procrastinating that would
Yeah.
help me
I
feel better about how I feel.
We actually I was on a live over on Friday and we were talking about that. One of the things that so many people have like this misconception is that we think of self-care as this luxury thing. And really it's putting yourself for like, I need to go to a doctor. I need to get
Yes.
I need to go get my physical. I need to go get my mammogram. I need to go and get these things done and not putting them last because, for
Yes.
whatever other reason.
Yes. I
So it's
have.
important to do those things even if they're not fun, you
They're
know.
not. I hate going to the doctor.
Yeah.
And but you have to do it. I
Yeah.
actually, deal with a thyroid issue, a lot of times, not to be like, oh, thyroid issue, but that's something I have to manage.
Yeah.
And I stink at it. I have to really try to make those appointments and stay on top of them because all of my appointments come last. Everything that I've got to do for myself come last usually. And it shouldn't be that way. Um, but that's generally how it goes.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of us, especially as moms, we put ourselves last because, we got the kids' appointments, we got to keep up with those, we got to keep up with whatever we put our kids in, like if they have all these extra classes and things. So we keep our schedules busy.
Yeah.
And so it's really easy for us to put ourselves last. But when it comes to like our health and stuff, we think, oh, we'll get to it. And then a year goes by and we still haven't gotten that appointment. There's some problems there.
Or
You have
2
to,
years or 3
yeah.
years. I mean,
Oh,
been
yeah, because
there,
then it just
been
starts
there.
rolling. Yeah,
Yes.
I've been there
How old
too.
did you say your kids were?
My daughter is 9 years old and my son is 5 years old. And I feel like when they're young, that's even more. But you could tell me because you're on the flip side
Who wants to
that
drag their kid to the gynecologist? I mean, fun field trip, right?
yeah,
It's even harder to carve out those appointment times. Um, it is not easy to always be with your kids. I mean, that's one of the hardest things probably about
yeah.
homeschool is that,
And I think
you know,
that's something. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's
no,
something as
no, it's
homeschool
not.
moms when it comes to self-care, we like, okay, that's great. Not only money-wise and time-wise is it a luxury to practice self-care, but what am I supposed to do with my kids? I signed up to be with them, and now what am I supposed to do with it to carve out self-care? Yeah, it sounds great to wake up early in the morning or stay up late and while they're sleeping take care of myself. But I can't go to the doctor first thing in the morning without my kids or at night or whatever. sometimes we're exhausted too. So it's really important to realize that taking care of yourself doesn't also have to be not around your children.
Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
just a point I wanted to make when you said that.
So, what do we do? Like, what are some solutions to finding the time and making sure that we take care of ourselves? Exercise has been a big thing for me. It's something that I can do before people wake up really early.
Yeah.
I've had periods of time where I have trained for runs, getting ready for, long runs. I've had a few of those. So that's been a commitment to me. That's completely time by myself. I can clear my head, put in my earbuds, kind of just zone out, sweat it out, cry it out sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, so that's definitely something that is at the top of my need list is I have to have some sort of physical activity. I like running and yoga. um, I can feel how terrible I feel if I'm not taking care of myself in that area, or if I'm eating a bunch of junk because I like candy and sweets and
Yeah.
coffee, all the coffee. So
I think that's like the secret drink for homeschool is coffee. But water does do amazing things. Just
yeah,
so you know.
I
I've
moved
been
on.
I've been
I've moved
trying.
on to my water. I've cut.
I
I.
have.
It's
I
that
have
time of
to.
day where I've got to move on. I have to try so hard. Um,
But I've been trying the same things because I've struggled with the same um not taking care of myself, not putting myself as a priority. And then it just has drained the living life out of me.
yeah,
It has
and it
drained
catches
me.
up with you.
Yes, it drained me. And then I'm not a good homeschool parent. I'm not a good parent. I'm not a good friend. I'm not a good spouse. I'm not a good, anything. I'm not good for anything when I'm like that. Because then you get really, I go down like really bad, like depression or spirals, I call it. And when I'm in that, there's just no pulling out. So I've been trying to practice self care and keep track of things that actually, you know, help restore myself. So that it, like you said, is exercise. But for me, it looks different because I have two little kids. We're in a tight space here in New York. It's really hard to, navigate any kind of like anything like crazy or like extra. So we started doing. My daughter got Just Dance for
Fun.
Christmas, and I put that on, and we could go for hours as a family dancing. So if that works, that gets the endorphins going and everything. That works for us.
There's a
Definitely
lot of
drinking the
great stuff
water.
online too. Free programs online.
Yeah,
There's so much stuff online that you can do right from home. So
that's basically
that's
like at home workouts. You could even get, I think, things from like the library. They
yeah.
have like
Yep.
DVDs
I
and
love the
stuff.
library. Yep. Yep. I love the library.
Yeah.
Um, then there's the tough topic of, medication. I had mentioned earlier that I've
Hmm.
had seasons where I've dealt with depression and anxiety. That's always kind of been a lingering thing. I've been a parent to children that have struggled with anxiety. So, we've had probably, not the norm when it comes to like, your textbook, oh, well, just get a break. I think at times for my husband and I, it hasn't been as simple to leave the kids at ages when we should be leaving the kids like the rest of the world is, starting date nights and enjoying more freedom and things like that. I think we've been kind of late bloomers in that area because over the years, our kids have had to deal with some extra, special needs and things like that. That
Yeah.
adds a whole dynamic of, I don't know, a whole nother layer of
A
mom
pressure.
guilt,
Yeah.
mom guilt, pressure. It's not just leaving to go do something for me. Well, then I've got to think about like everything that's going to be,
No.
happening
Yeah.
when I'm gone and blah blah blah. But we have to do it. We have to do it,
Yeah.
and I think we need to find people that we can partner with. Like
Yeah.
if we're single by any chance, single homeschooling moms, I see them online all the time popping up, and there's groups of working homeschool moms. I know that's a popular group
Yes. I'm in
right
that
there
group.
for a fellow anxiety member. Um, but I see a lot of single moms coming on there talking about the way they're navigating their days. Find partners to share your kids with, to trade off lessons, to, you know, um, I'll teach math because that's my thing, or I'm going to
Yes.
teach my kids for science because I hate doing
Okay.
science
I
experiments.
could do that because I'm not good with math.
Yeah, that was just a random example. I don't want to
No, I'm
teach
just
either
saying.
one of those subjects, but you could trade off, over the years. And then there's times where
It's like
I've had to
I'll do
carve
that.
out time at like the lamest opportunities. Like I've signed my kids up. I remember we used to go to PE. I told my kids we have to go to PE. It's the law, that you go to PE. And I would take them to PE at the YMCA, even though they hated it. I knew it was going to be 2 hours where I could talk with like other moms who like lived
Yeah,
in my world, that I didn't feel like an alien when I was in a conversation. Um, some were dear friends and some were just other breathing human beings. Sometimes it
yeah,
doesn't matter if they're like your tribe or your best friends. Like sometimes just getting out and talking to another
yeah.
person, because homeschooling can be lonely and isolated
And
sometimes.
isolating, yes.
Not
Mhm.
everybody likes to admit that, because we're
No,
supposed to love it. We're supposed to love our
no.
big choice of home education.
I know, and
But
I feel like we can't complain about any of it because
I
it's like
know,
you chose this, so how dare you?
I
Like
know,
you've
right?
vetoed your complaint card. But we no,
Yes.
it even though we love aspects of it, there's still hard days. There's
I love the
still
mission
times,
still.
yeah, there's still times that we feel isolated, that we feel bad, that we question our choices, that,
Yep.
we pick up the phone and we're looking for the closest school to send our kids to. We've all been there,
Yep.
and it's hard when you don't have an actual community in like real life to go and like of homeschool moms or people that understand you. That's why we have a group, and I know there's a lot of groups on the internet that you could connect with people, and you could do like just things like this where we're talking. You could do
Yeah.
this privately. You don't have to
You don't
go
have to do
on
it on Facebook.
Facebook Live and have everybody hear you, and you could connect with people and be safe and and um and still like have that connection with people. So technology is not all bad in that respects. It can help with the isolating stuff. And
It
that's a form of
definitely can.
self-care to be social with other people.
It really is. We've had years where we were part of, co-ops where
Co-op, yeah.
we would get together, and just do, we've only ever done, it was a co-op. I avoided homeschool groups like the plague. They intimidated me until my
Yeah.
kids got to an age where I was like, we need to do something. So we had a season where, we would get together and it was kind of low key. They would do experiments or lessons or whatever. And but it was 3 or 4 hours where they were with other kids, and I was able to connect with other
Yeah.
moms too. And they weren't necessarily like super best friends outside of this group, but it was nice to have a common community of people that just understood just the trials of the day, and where you could sit and maybe talk about not getting a break and somebody might get what you're saying, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Because it is, I think that's probably one of the hardest things. It's one of the things I've loved about homeschooling is the extra time with my kids. And I've
Yeah.
loved the extra time that they've had with each other,
Yeah.
because they're far apart in age. There's a 6 year gap between my boys. So growing up, they really would have not seen much of each other. They would have been on different schedules, while one is in elementary, one would have been in middle, and while one's middle, one would be in high school. That, they would have had different schedules. So they've had a lot of time to spend growing up together. And
Yeah.
then there's been cons to all of that too. Sometimes I feel like we've
Yeah,
spent
because then they're
too
always
much time together.
fighting and
Yes,
everything. I totally understand that.
there's
Like I feel
arguing,
the
there's
same way,
fussing,
but
there's
then
complaining.
like for the people watching, they're like, "Yeah, that sounds great," but I have my two kids right here next to me, and they're like fighting over something, and there's always screaming, and there's mom, and we're all
And
on
even
top of each other, and it's just like no.
even at this stage where I'm done with one. I've graduated one, and I still have one to go. We're at like this home stretch, but I really, telling the internet, I really don't know what the next 4 years are going to look like for us, what he needs during high school. And just every year, I've always said every year I have to really sit down and think like, okay, what do they need? And even still, now I've got one who's not even really he's not under my watch. He's off, commuting to college. I still feel like I have to be diligent about making time for me sometimes,
Yeah.
because I'm still, I still am home with them
So how do
essentially.
you feel? I wanted to talk about something else, but now I have this question. So how do you feel with that like looming? So this you have two
The
kids,
end.
right? Yeah. What are you
Um.
gonna do after the
Okay.
homeschool
So,
thing is over?
oh man, that is such a great question. So that goes along with a little bit of self-care. That leads to a
Mhm.
whole nother, like homeschooling doesn't define me. It doesn't define my kids or my family. It's what
Mhm.
we've chosen to do, and it's been a huge
Mhm.
commitment. But there is this whole, okay, who was I before I started homeschooling? Who do I
Mhm.
want to be when I grow up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and there's a lot of that with the home stretch. There's a lot of that hanging over me. I recently just started taking some classes again, trying, just doing something for me. That would be
Mhm.
an example of something I've chosen to do for me, and
Yeah.
that's been really cool. I haven't been to school for myself in a really
For
long
yourself.
time.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. I don't know where that will lead, but that's one thing I'm thinking about. And I mean, the whole reason I blog and I'm on the internet, I have dreams of writing a book about,
Yeah.
the time that we've spent doing this, because it's been pretty crazy.
Go for
And I like to make
it.
people laugh, and I like
Yeah.
to relate to, things that I share. Nothing makes me happier than somebody sending me a message that says, "Hey, I just saw this post that you wrote, and I feel so glad I'm not the only one who's feeling this way, whatever that may
Yeah.
be." I have a bad habit of oversharing when I do write something. So it's usually someone out there, some wonderful soul will send me a message that says, "Hey, me too." And that's what I love the most about,
Yeah.
what I've been doing online. And I
Yeah.
hope to continue to write. And I really, I just don't know what's ahead. I'll
But
have
it's
to
but it's good because
we'll see.
that was the key. That was what you said was the key, that you it has to do with self-care.
Yeah.
Because for those of us who are on like the beginning spectrum of homeschooling, and we're navigating it and we're learning about it, and we, or even on parenting, if you're not a homeschool parent, your parenting and your whole life turns out to somehow revolve around your children, and then
Yeah.
your children grow up and they're like, go away. And to an extent, and you're like, well, now what? And so it's really important
Amen.
that to practice self-care, that you're still feeding into what makes you feel good and like a productive human being, and like for a calling for yourself, and like to go towards your passions and not to let them go just because you had kids or you got married, or you started homeschooling. Don't let go of yourself. So
Yeah,
self-care is
absolutely.
taking
That's
that
where I'm
time
at
and
now,
doing that.
That's where I'm at
Yeah.
now, where I'm really starting to think, what's it going to look like when I'm done with my youngest? I've only got two. So,
Yeah.
um, I'm excited about that. It can be depressing too at times. It could
Yeah.
be, oh goodness, I don't know what I'm going to do. Who am I? I forget. I don't remember who I am because
Yeah.
I've been doing this for so long. Um, so it's funny that you asked that, because that's kind of like a little note I had to myself about, maybe something to write for encouraging older moms not older in age, but older in time they've put in, because I'm kind of
Yeah.
at the tail end of things.
You should
Um,
definitely do it.
yeah, do it, do it,
Do
just do it. That's what my kids say. Just do
it.
it. Um,
Well, that's
so
what like I'm focusing on like now, because I overthink things so much.
girl, I'm an overthinker. That's all I do.
And I'm like, okay. So now I get it. I write it down and I'm like, okay, so we're just gonna do it. Even this whole self-care thing. I thought about this in April. It took me to May to push it. And then I'm like, I gotta just do it now or I'm not gonna do it. So
Yeah,
it's just like pushing myself to just do it scared, and
yeah.
just go with it.
That's, what, that is really important too. Doing things that scare you, things that
Yeah.
you're afraid of doing, are usually things that, you know,
You
not
need
to
to do.
anybody to do anything terrible, but like, usually the things that we're afraid to do, it's that fear that's holding us back from something amazing that we really
Yeah.
should be doing, that we have a calling or something, that God's got planned for us that we're just afraid to do. I don't necessarily, the more we open up our mind to opportunity, the more that we, look for those things and be open to them and not shy away from them. Like this little
Yeah.
small thing,
Yeah. I know you were
and
a little nervous.
well, the first time I was like super nervous, and then good Lord, like technical difficulty, like crazy. Like have I ever used a phone? I don't know. I feel way better about it today, but
Yeah. It's
um,
going good.
It's the overthinking thing,
It's the
and then
overthinking.
it just didn't work out. My phone was just like, "We're not doing this today," and I was like, "All right,
I
well,
ended
that's
up
fine."
oversharing that day. I ended up because after you, I had to fill it with something, and I ended up oversharing, and I felt like really weird after. Like I shared like a lot about
Why did I say that?
becoming becoming a parent and stuff, and all this stuff. But it's out there, and
Yeah, but
I
somebody might enjoy hearing it.
yeah,
That's what
I
it's
said
about.
maybe it will help somebody else who's like on that journey and feeling lost and not maybe not proud of the feelings that they felt in the past.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that one because I
I know I shouldn't have
now
mentioned
yeah,
it.
you've overshared twice now because if no one saw the first one, just
Now they're
because
gonna
you
go
said
look
that,
for
they're gonna
it.
be like, okay, yeah, I can relate to whatever you said. I bet I need to go know about that.
Oh
So
no.
so
Okay, because you didn't see any of this part.
yeah, right.
Rewind. Oh, so another thing that you had mentioned was reaching out, well, kind of like reaching out to people and asking for help. And I feel like not only as homeschool moms, but as all like as a mom, we kind of feel like we have to be this like Wonder Woman who can do all the things. And asking for help could be hard, but it is really important when it comes to self-care and just being able to parent. You need to be able to ask for help.
I'm still learning that,
Yeah.
where I'm parenting teens. So
Yeah.
there are times when that is not going great. Okay.
Yeah.
And, I'm still learning that I need to, ask for help when I need it still. And there's
Yeah.
been, as probably the different stages or the different stages of my children's ages, that's looked different over the years, but sometimes it's asking another friend, um, family members that maybe are nearby, if you're lucky enough to have family that are close by, um, just to give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Your spouse, talk to your spouse.
Yeah.
You're not doing this alone. If you aren't doing this alone, if you
Yeah.
are a married homeschooling parent, talk to your spouse. Like, you're not agreeing to do this on your own. What can your spouse do to help you get a window of time that you can, like, read a book that has nothing to do with homeschooling, or take a walk alone, or just do anything that you like doing
Yeah.
that has
Anything.
nothing to do with homeschool. And good Lord, find some things that you like to do that have nothing to do with homeschool. I mean,
Try
have
it
a
out. Be an explorer. Explore different things, and what you do end up liking, write it down and say, "This is going to go on my
yeah,
self care routine list," or things that I will pick up and just do when I have a minute, or and things that you
yeah.
don't like, never do again.
Make a list of things that you like doing that don't have anything to do with your
Your
job as a
children.
homeschool parent or your children. And it's hard to come up with a list sometimes, but this isn't going to be what you're doing forever. And I
It's like
know,
when you sorry, it's like when you finally get a date night and you have like, okay, let's have a conversation, not about the kids. It's like that kind of hard to make a list of things you like to do.
and we suck at that. My husband and I, we're terrible at that. So, like, if you ever see this and you know me personally, they're probably like, why is she making a video about self-care and asking people for help? Because she totally sucks at that. I am by no
But you
means like
don't sound like you suck at it, actually. You don't
I'm
sound like you
better.
suck at
I'm way
it.
better than I used to be, but my kids are older, and I've had to learn some really ugly lessons too to
Yeah.
to make those choices.
Because
Um,
when you don't practice it, it gets ugly.
yeah,
Physically,
it does.
mentally, spiritually, emotionally, it gets
Yes, all
ugly.
of that. And I've been in those places where, you don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to do anything, you don't want to talk to anybody, you don't want to do anything but just cry
Yeah.
and feel bad.
Yeah. I've
you
been
know?
there.
Yep. Yep. And it sneaks up on you and you miss the signs, once you start feeling better, you're like, man, I really wasn't taking care of myself for the last few months, or whatever the factors
Overworked,
are. Yeah.
overstressed, or whatever. But yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Another thing you were talking about, your spouse and stuff. So if you have a spouse, a partner, they're not mind readers. So you can't
Huh.
just say like, okay, I need help. You should know I need help because look at me. You have to like sometimes just go out and say, look, this is what's going on. I need to take some time. I'm with the kids all day. Hopefully they're supportive and they're with you on this. And if not, you got to get to that place where they are and tell them your needs and not be afraid of that. Like that you need to take time for yourself and that they need to help somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. Even teach some subjects. Take some lessons off your hands.
Yeah.
If you're the one that's doing the majority, that would have never happened in my house. I'm just telling you right now. You know, I
Same here. I don't think.
my husband has been obviously more than supportive, and he's been the parent that comes and helps with math when I just can't do it anymore. But primarily, I was primarily the one home doing the lessons.
Yeah.
Um, so there were times when I'm like, you know what, I need you to maybe take a lesson, take a day off. I need a break. I need a break.
Yeah.
Um, but often I've reached breaking points to make those decisions, and it's all
Yeah.
about noticing the signs and being proactive in the what's the word I'm looking for, the maintenance of it all, so you don't fall
Yeah.
apart. It's easier said than done, I know that,
It
and
is.
it's easier said
So,
than done, depending on your children's ages or what your spouse does
yeah,
for a
well,
living.
now with older kids, you should be able well, you have a lot more than but little kids. They should know, like, okay, do they practice self-care, your kids?
Ugh, I mean, what does that look like for our kid? I mean, well, they're not really. My oldest is a young adult, and my youngest is a 14-year-old. So, I mean, self care to them is like,
Living.
yeah, doing stuff they like doing, playing
Yeah.
games, being lazy. They like video games.
Yeah, but that
You
is,
know,
and they're practicing
those are
self-care,
the
and
things they like doing,
yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know what self care looks like for just
well, it depends on their schedules. Like, if they have really crazy, like,
they're not those kind of
whether
kids.
it's
Yeah.
school or extra stuff.
They're they were never those kind of kids that had like all these activities going on everywhere,
Yeah, we
sports
don't
here and
really
all that.
either.
Those are not my kids. I know that, that's like what kids are supposed to be doing.
Well, nowadays it seems like that's what it is, and I feel guilty that we aren't. Like, we're
Don't
lucky if we do soccer or like we'll do piano, but we do that at home. So
don't feel bad. Not every kid likes
they do
sports.
more
My kids
things.
were not sporty kids. And I did the thing, make the little one play the sport. I did that. I did that to them when they were
Make
little.
them
Yeah, we
go out
we
there and you go play the
yeah,
sport.
I mean, I could show you the pictures and they're hysterical. Neither one of them liked it at all. We did soccer when one was little and t-ball with the other one, and they both hated every second of it. And so, I mean, those were just never my kids. So they didn't really have a whole big, you know, plate of activities of things to stress. But I think they had a lot of other things that caused them stress. So
Oh yeah.
they've had to learn how to manage that too in other ways. So, that's a whole nother video.
Yeah. I
Talking
mean,
about
reasons for self-care is a necessity, regardless of if they have like a lot of things on their like planned on their schedule, planned on their day or whatever. Um, so seeing us as parents, making ourselves a priority, putting ourselves first here and there is something that because we get guilt when it comes to taking care of ourselves. So it's something that you could kind of put this into perspective. You're showing your kids how to treat themselves as they get older, as they should treat themselves now, to make themselves a priority, to take care of their health, take
lead
care
by
of themselves.
example.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I get really excited when my oldest makes like a green smoothie, when he puts like vegetables in a smoothie and makes it for himself and then
Yeah.
drinks it. Makes me really happy
Yeah.
because I know that that is something small that, a healthy choice, So
Yeah.
even still, when my kids are big, I'm still getting excited about stuff like that. There's still
Yeah.
hope uh, for you, moms and dads. If you have picky eaters, there's hope for you because
Oh, good.
my kids were
'Cause
terrible.
I have
Terrible.
I have a pair of them. It's,
Mine.
like, weird, though. Like, one eats and they eat the opposite. So it's like, "Really?"
So you're like a short order cook, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes, but I try not to be. I'm like,
Mm.
"Then don't eat."
I did all the stuff they tell you not to do,
I
tell them,
try.
here's what's for dinner, and you're going to eat that, and that's what's for dinner. And too bad
Then
if
they're
you starve,
hungry.
you don't eat it. I could never do that, you
It's
know.
hard. Yeah. I
I
do it
broke
all.
all of
I don't
those
know.
rules. I did. We didn't. Yeah, I laugh sometimes now at the stuff I used to worry about, but I did. I broke all of those rules. I had two really picky eaters, and one still is pretty picky, and the other one will eat literally anything if you tell him it's edible. So there's hope for you, moms. So I don't know. I was hoping to get
So,
some questions, but
well, we've been on for a while, and there are a couple. I saw there was a couple of people that were in. I don't know if they're still here, but they, like I said to you earlier, they can catch the replay. I know a lot of people from my community. They end up watching later
well,
on.
that's good. I'll share it in my group.
Yes.
And my group
Um,
is very small. I'm not very good at keeping it active.
it's a lot. It's all the plates. You got to keep them all going. It's so much, and then self-care.
Yeah, just kind of. Yeah, I don't stress too much about all of that.
Yeah.
Well, it
Um,
was good talking to you.
it was
Finally,
great talking to you. Finally, we were trying this for so long.
I know.
I wanted to say that if you guys still want to partake in our self-care challenge, it's still going on. I actually haven't released the bonus days, which I had told you guys I didn't. This week they will be going out. There's 2 bonus days. So it's a 5-day self-care challenge. It gives you just like ideas of some things that you can try out every day, one thing, and you can start incorporating it in your daily routine. And if you like it, you keep it. You don't like it, you don't. You give yourself grace if you can't do it, but you try. So I'm going to drop the link. It's there to if you want to join in
Well,
the
thanks for
challenge.
inviting me to chat with you.
Thank you so much for coming and being on and talking with us. I feel like you shared so much, and I think it'll help a lot of people. And
I
I
hope
think
so.
so. And I
I always
related a lot.
I always leave conversations. Not It's not like I talk live all the time or ever, but I always leave conversations and think, did I say too much? Did I, what did I actually say? So hopefully it helps somebody.
I think it did. So yes, thank you. And
I'll talk to you
we'll be
soon.
back tomorrow, and we'll see you
Yeah.
soon. Bye.